Hello and welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. This is the League of Ireland show, and I'm joined by Paul Tierney. How are you this evening, Paul?
All good, Gary, all good. The light in my house is actually too good. So I'm kind of half in the dark here, but seems to be all right on the camera. Back in my room, the light in my room just stopped working, the main one. So have a little lamp on and have the ring light on. But yeah, all good, all good. Didn't get to a game this weekend, unfortunately. Something else cropped up, unfortunately. But yeah, loads to talk about again, loads to talk about. Very dramatic Friday night anyway.
Yeah, very dramatic Friday and an interesting enough Saturday as well. But and we had the start of the Women's National League as well, so we'll give that a bit of a mention later on. But the main focus, as always, is on the Premier Division. And well, this week I'm going to talk about the team that went top on Friday night, Derry City, and the team that could well mount a title challenge. They went to Tolka Park. I know you may not be too happy about this, but they went to Tolka Park and they ground out, and I think ground out is the correct term here, a 1-0 win. A goal by Patrick McElhenney 17 minutes from time when it looked like it was finishing 0-0. And if they are going to mount a title challenge, and it is going to be difficult, or if you are going to win a league, if you can go away from home and win 1-0 in situations like this, and Shells at Tolka is always a tough game, that's a really good sign of a team.
Yeah, definitely. I think in Rory Higgins' post match, anyway, he definitely said that it was a great win, and some teams are definitely going to drop points there. So it's three gain points for his Derry side. Look, they're top of the league. They've started the best out of all the teams. Uh, they beat Shamrock Rovers last week as well. Obviously, a great win for them. And look, they've got a very strong squad. They're going to do well this year. They're definitely going to be right up there. Yeah, fantastic win in terms of Shells. Anyway, look, a disappointing result, but I think the main thing to look at for Shells is that they haven't scored in three of their matches. So that's a bit of a worry, really. When I saw them against UCD, they were very shot shy. Anyway, that's for sure. I don't know what Friday was like because I haven't seen the highlights yet, but I mean, it was probably pretty much the same. I think Damien Duff might have to change a few things around, throw a couple more lads in, a couple more attacking minded lads in anyway, and try get a couple of points. They have Dundalk at home this week as well. That's another tough one. I mean, they're probably expected not to get in from that, but look, yeah, disappointing that it came so late. It was obviously a slog. We all know the pitch at Tolka isn't great either, but fair play to Derry. They got their win. It's a long trip down for them as well, so they'll be delighted with that and keeps them top of the table.
Yeah, absolutely crucial because they'd had such a fantastic win over Shamrock Rovers at the Brandywell in their live TV game. And I think they were expecting to carry that into the Monday, the midweek game against Sligo Rovers. And Sligo, we'll go on and talk about Sligo. They've made an excellent start as well. But to only draw at home to Sligo would have been a bit of a disappointment. So had they only gone to Tolka and got a point, I think they might have been a bit disappointed. But certainly to go there, to score so late in the game, 17 minutes from time, and to grind out the win, I think it's a good sign of a team, and it's pretty impressive. And Patrick McElhenney, the local boy, back in the Brandywell, and what a signing! I mean, what a player he is anyway. For him to get the goal was crucial as well. I wouldn't be as concerned about Shells yet. I mean, they've kept a couple of clean sheets as well, remember. And okay, I don't expect Shells to be up yet challenging for the title or even maybe challenging for Europe, but I still expect them to be comfortable enough and above the relegation zone. Maybe get a bit nervous at some point during the season, but I don't expect Shelbourne to be in the relegation playoff or certainly not to finish 10th. But and it's going to be a tough game for Dundalk on Friday. I remember when Shells went up the last time, Dundalk coming to Tolka Park pretty early. I'm not sure if it was the first match, but it was certainly early in the 2020 season, before COVID, if I remember rightly, and edging an absolutely cracking game. And if I remember rightly, Gary Deegan scored for Shells. We can go on and talk about him later on as well. But an absolutely cracking game and a full house. And I think, unfortunately for Shells, the lack of crowds didn't help when football came back. And but I think this time Shells are back up and they're back to stay for a while. And yeah, it'll be disappointing to lose at home, but I wouldn't be too despondent. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if Shells get something out of the Dundalk game.
Yeah, see, I don't know. Just from seeing them, I mean, I've only seen them once. I mean, there's probably fans who tell me otherwise, but they just look a bit shot shy and a bit too defensive, I think, at times. And that's all I have to say really on Shells. It's a tiny bit worrying. What was I going to say? I was going to say something on Derry there. Yeah, fantastic win for Derry, and they're going to want to keep going as well. But yeah, that's what I was going to say. Actually, I was at that Dundalk game the last time. It was early on. That was one of my first games with Irish Football Fan TV, and it was basically a game of two. It was a game of two halves. Dundalk dominated the first half. They got their goals early on. Looked like they were going to cruise it, and then Gary Deegan scored right after half time to put it back into perspective. Shells probably could have nicked something in the end. They didn't, but yeah, it should be another cracking game on Friday night, and looking forward to it because I'm actually covering it this week, and I'm definitely going this week, so I'm looking forward to it very much. Yeah, fantastic. It's great to have them back, but I just think don't be afraid to attack a bit more, especially against teams who are in and around. But that's all. That's just from what I've seen. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, the first thing I think is be difficult to break down, be difficult to beat, and maybe the attacks and the goals will come after that. Moving on to another 1-0 win, and this will probably come as a surprise to a lot of people. The champions, Shamrock Rovers, 2 defeats in 4 games. Chris Forrester with a headed goal. I don't think he scores too many of those. Anyway, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it's not something I certainly remember him doing. Certainly, he scores a lot of screamers from 30 yards. But what a win. I believe Rovers, I only saw very, very brief highlights, but my understanding is Rovers dominated, or were certainly the better team in the first half. But Pats came out in the second half and got the goal and probably just about deserved the win. That maybe Rovers are a bit shot shy as well. And
yeah,
what a win for Pats. Coming off, I mean, they got a great win at Tolka Park to start the season. But, I mean, let's be frank about it. They would have been very, very disappointed with the 2 defeats last weekend. The Friday night, they were well beaten at home by Sligo Rovers and then lost on Monday to Bowes. So they would have been probably bitter disappointment, but now back on track. A fantastic win over the champions. And Pats are level with Rovers now on 6 points.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a big win for Pats. We actually mentioned last week. I know it's still early on, but Tim Clancy might have been under a bit of pressure because they were 2 games with teams in and around them that they lost. But big win for Pats. From what I heard, yeah, Rovers dominated. I heard it from one person that they had 12 or 13 shots, didn't put them away. Pats had 1 effort on target and it went in. So look, that's the way football goes sometimes, unfortunately, for in Rovers terms. They've got a big game now on Friday against Bowes, a decent looking Bowes side. Obviously, we'll go on to them shortly, but that's not going to be easy as well, considering it's a derby and there's going to be no love lost between the two as usual. In terms of Pats, yeah, they're back going again after 2 disappointing defeats, you'd say. Look, listen, Pats should be challenging up there, but I think it's just the Pats thing. I don't mean to insult them, but they even wear the same colours as Arsenal. They're just very, very similar in terms of how they go about things. Obviously, they won the cup last year, but they always seem to get so far and then they fall away. I think now you've got to push on, and Rovers are struggling a bit now. Put it into them like the rest are going to as well. I mean, everyone else has to react like that. That can't just be Rovers 2 defeats of the season. They have to be beaten again. And look, Pats really need to kick on from that. It's a fantastic result, but they have to go again on Friday.
Yeah, no, it is crucial they kick on from it. And speaking of Friday night, what a game in Tala. I was actually reading today, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I was reading it's an 8,000 sellout. Now, I also read that I was reading on Twitter that Bohemians fans, there's been an issue with them buying their tickets. So maybe it's not sold out in the away end as such. So I believe that's going to be sorted out tomorrow. But it's going to be, it'll be fantastic to see that 8,000 crowd in Tala. It'll be some atmosphere and some game. I know Paul is covering it. I believe Paul is covering it for us, Paul Nealon. and it should be an absolute cracker and a tough one to call now. Rovers with their 2 defeats, and well, Bows have an unbeaten start so far. We can go on and talk about that. Plenty to talk about here. In Ballybuffet, Finn Harps won, Bohemians won. And a lot of controversy in this game as well. So Promise Cherry gave Bows the lead just after half time in the 51st minute. But Ryan Connolly equalised for Harps on 65 minutes. And from what I've read and seen, a draw was pretty much a fair result. But I don't know if you've seen this, Paul. And the 88th minute, Promise Cherry got a second yellow card. And well, I don't know how to describe this or what to say. I think you'll have to watch it yourself on Twitter and make up your own mind. But for me, he was standing in the middle of the pitch, and the Finn Harps player near him just went down. He went down as if he'd been elbowed in the head or something like that. But from what I can see, and I was only watching it on my phone, so maybe there's different angles or something like that. But from what I can see, he did absolutely nothing. He just stood there. And the Harps player went down badly, and the referee gave him a second yellow card. Now, it's another thing I don't understand. If it was an elbow to the head, it's a straight red.
Yeah.
And that's the way the Harps player went down. I'm not sure what could have warranted a yellow card in that situation. But anyway, the ref gave him a second yellow. He's been sent off. As far as I know, he's out of the derby on Friday. I don't think we've any mechanism in this league to appeal apart from a mistaken identity case. So unfortunately, video evidence or not, if you're sent off by the referee, the decision stands. That's my understanding. It certainly used to be the case. I don't think that's been changed. And he's going to be a massive loss for Bows on Friday night. And I'm sure he's probably he looked very aggrieved in the video, and he's probably feeling very, very aggrieved at being sent off, and particularly to miss the big derby.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say so. He was in and out a lot last season, got a couple of goals, obviously, off the bench. And then when he did get a couple of starts after their cup run, he done quite well. Obviously, this is a new year. A couple of lads have moved on. He's going to get more opportunities, as we've seen so far already. He'll be gutted now he's out. And if what you say is true and it's controversial, he won't be happy with that. And neither will Bows, really, to be honest. I'm sure Keith Long will be fuming. He's not a happy man at the best of times, really, from what we see. And I'm not criticizing him. Keith's a very nice man, always has time for us. But it's tough being a football manager, obviously. It's tough being a football manager. But yeah, they'll be aggrieved. But look, they've still got a lot of fantastic players there at Bows, and they'll be well up for it on Friday as well. Obviously, Rovers, I mean, to say they're faltering this early it's probably a bit harsh because they're 2 tough away games to start with. But look, yeah. In terms of Finn Harps, anyway, I'm sure Ollie Horgan will be happy. We were talking last week about how they had to go down to Dublin, then down to Dundalk again on the Monday evening. That's very, very tough, and that killed the best of teams. But look, Finn Park is a tough place to go. I know Bows were leading, but I mean, it's a tough place, and a lot of teams won't win up there this season. So yeah, Ollie Horgan will probably be happy enough. 2 points from the first 4. It doesn't sound great, but it's something to work on anyway. It's not like you've lost all 4 games. So think of that, But yeah, Bows will be well up for Friday. And look, Harps, it's a decent result. It's a decent result. And as you said, a draw is probably a fair result. I haven't seen any of it, unfortunately. But as we're going off what you said, a draw is a fair result.
Yeah, I think Harps only 2 from 3, if I remember.
Oh, their game was called off. Yeah, sorry. So
yeah, so,
and that was meant to be at home. That was meant to be at home as well. So obviously they've only played 1 home game. So the first home game,
they won't be too disappointed,
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they will be too disappointed. I think Ollie will be happy enough with that. And look, the first game was against Drogheda. I mean, there are 2 teams who are probably going to be in and around the relegation playoff position realistically. So look, that game will have massive effect when it comes around.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, and St. Pat's are up in Finn Park. Yeah, I think Ollie Horgan will be very happy with the point, and I think he'd bite your hand off for a point again on Friday night when Pats visit. It is a tough place to go. You never get it easy up there. The only thing I would say, Paul, is if you're going to win a league, or even if you're going to get into Europe, I think you got to go to Finn Park and be looking for 3 points now. You'll never get them easy. And if you're coming out of Finn Park with 3 points, you'll be a very, very, very happy manager, a happy squad, and happy fans. But it's I would think if you're going if Bows are going to challenge for Europe or challenge for the title, they probably would have wanted to win. Probably gladly take a point in Tala on Friday night, but they'd probably be slightly disappointed. I don't think they did enough to win, judging from the highlights. But I certainly think Pats. Well, to put it this way, if it's a draw again on Friday night, I think Ollie Horgan would be happier than Tim Clancy. That's my take on it anyway. And,
definitely.
And I agree. I think Harps, the target always for Harps is to stay in the division. And I think, for me, the bottom three, we've said it, I don't think I'm any genius in predicting this, is going to be, in some order, UCD, Drogheda and Harps. I think all three clubs will expect to be in the bottom three. And I think all of them are fighting for 8th, and if they can get 8th, it's a fantastic season. If they can get 9th, it's not too bad because they'll have a good shout in the playoffs. But the playoffs are going to be very tough this year because there are 3 full-time teams in the first division, and almost certainly one of them is going to come through to face the Premier Division in the playoffs. And Waterford got, well, I think surprised by UCD is the way to put it last year. I don't think too many of us expected UCD to win that. But it's going to be tough for the Premier Division. It's going to be tough for the First Division side in the playoff as well. But it'll be tough. So, I think 8th is going to be the target for Harps, Drogheda and UCD. And one of the other ones I'm sure will be in the playoffs. But, Harps and Pats, a tough one for Pats. But time will tell. So if we keep going on the relegation battle, and an absolutely crucial win, because Drogheda had no points from their, as we'd said, the Harps game was called off, but they had suffered defeats at home to Shells and away to Rovers. Maybe you could say they'd expect to lose in Tala, and they would have been hopeful of getting something from the Shells game, but they entertained UCD on Friday night, and a cracking 4-2 win and a first goal for Gary Deegan. I talked about his goal a couple of years ago in that Shells Dundalk game. Well, he opened the scoring for Drogheda. Chris Lyons, player who's been around Drogheda for quite a while, he's always banging in the goals. He banged in a couple more, put them 3 up. Sam Todd got one back for UCD. I think that was their first goal of the season, if I remember rightly. But Dean Williams made it 4-1, and Liam Kerrigan, a lovely goal, actually, a lovely lob. He made it 4-2. But a deserved win for Drogheda, and an absolutely massive win for Drogheda. I mean, they had no points. UCD were on a couple of points. Harps have gone to 2 points. And had that result been reversed, you could have been looking and saying Drogheda, even at this early stage of the season, would be really feeling the pressure. But now suddenly they've jumped ahead of both Finn Harps and UCD with that win. And but it's probably going to be nip and tuck for the whole season. I don't see anyone being marooned at the bottom. And even if you look at the league table as it is at the moment, you've Derry on 8 points. You've next is 6 from 4 games, and the lowest is 2 points. So you've nobody actually even on 0 or a point. So it shows it's going to be an even enough league. There are going to be no easy games, and so we can go on and talk about the last game on Saturday night, and maybe proof there's no easy games. A battling scoreless draw, Sligo Rovers and Dundalk. A point apiece. I don't think either manager will be too disappointed, but maybe Stephen O'Donnell being the happier one.
Yeah, probably. I heard a lot of things about this on Saturday, that the pitch wasn't great. I did see a couple of pictures, and Stephen O'Donnell was one person to actually come out and say the pitch wasn't great. Listen, when you have situations like that, everyone's down to the same level. It doesn't help anyone. It's just a disadvantage. I'm not slating Sligo for that. There's been bad weather the last couple of weeks, so it's extremely tough to keep the pitches in order. And fair play to the groundsmen who do it. But look, there are two teams here going to be in and around the same position as well. So a draw early on in the season is probably not the worst result for either side. Um, Going back to the Drogheda and UCD match, one advantage I'll say for Drogheda in the first three games they played is that they've scored 5 goals. Those were UCD's first 2 goals there the other night of the season. They've shown they can score goals. Chris Lyons has proved that even last season he can score goals at the highest level. So yeah, it's a great win for Drogheda and an entertaining game. But as you mentioned as well, it's going to be nip and tuck down the bottom this season. And I think the difference will be what teams can win away at the other teams. Who can nick points away from home, particularly against the similar thing. Who can win up at Finn Park? Can Finn Harps come down and win at these grounds? Stuff like that. Get the 3 points, the scrappy 3 points that'll help you towards the end of the season. But Sligo and Dundalk, probably a fair result. The pitch didn't help, and fair play to Drogheda. And look, they've got 5 goals from 3 games, which is better than the teams in and around them so far as well. So fair play to them on that. A very entertaining game on Friday night.
Yeah, we got Sligo Rovers going to Headingley Game Park on Friday night as well, and that'll be a tough one for Sligo. And it's probably they've got a couple of decent scoreless draws, but that's one again. I suppose Drogheda would be the ones that would be happier with the point if that was to finish level. Sligo will probably again hope to win or expect to win, but it's going to be tough for Liam Buckley's side.
Yeah, definitely. I think now that Drogheda have won, there might be a bit more pressure on them to perform again like that on Friday. They always have a decent crowd up there, well-supported club. And but yeah, if Liam Buckley and Sligo want to be involved in the title race this year, or even to be the next best, but I mean, we can't say anyone's going to be like that. Yeah, they have to win games against the likes of Drogheda. But yeah, it should be an interesting game. Hopefully, the same amount of goals as well. A bit of entertainment. That's what we want, because I haven't seen a goal since the first week of the season. So that's what I want to see. Hopefully, they can bring them down to Dublin when both sides do come as well. But yeah, it's going to be a tough game, a tough one to call. All the games are tough to call, as you've said. Like, look at the points difference so far. You look at other leagues around the world. Sure, the league is basically over after 4 weeks a lot of the times, and that's probably what you need here is competition. Like the GAA, you don't want to see the Dubs really win 7 in a row. You want to see competition, and that's what makes it. That's what brings everyone in and makes it more interesting. So, yeah, definitely. Well, unless it was Shells, if they ran away with it, I wouldn't mind. But look, you got to be realistic. So yeah, it's great to see. And I will say one thing about Rovers. The last thing I'll say, you probably won't get 2 tougher away games to start a season, really.
No, they were 2 tough games, and but they would have expected to pick something up from them. And it's also, I just feel when teams, and this is around the world, if you're going to win a title, if you're going to win a championship, you don't lose too many games. Champions, they generally grind out draws, and it's interesting that Rovers have already lost 2 games, whereas if I remember correctly, Dundalk, Sligo, and Derry are all still on, and Bows actually are all still. Quite a few teams are still unbeaten, and. Speaking of Derry, actually, another game on Friday night is Derry going to the UCD Bowl to play UCD, and I think that's another one they'll certainly want to expect to get 3 points, but it won't be easy there either.
No, definitely not. I've seen UCD at both their home games this season. Obviously, I'm not covering them this week, but look, they haven't let in a goal at home yet. So look, that's got to be said. Derry, I mean, they'll be expecting to win, like you said, but it's going to be extremely tough for them. And UCD, they're already scrapping for points. So even maybe in the back of their heads, they'll be thinking home form is crucial for us this year. If we can keep clean sheets and maybe nick a goal here and there, they have the firepower with Liam Kerrigan and Colin Whelan up there. They just need to get them into the box and let them score. So, yeah, a tough game to call. I think Daniel Coffey's covering that one as well. So we'll have all the Dublin games covered this week, I think, and hopefully maybe a couple more as well. We shall see. But it's great interest, and look, long may it be may it be a very, very good season. That's all we want to see. We
Yeah.
want to see competition. That's it. We want to see competition, and that's all we want.
Well, hopefully a title race, battle for the
Yes,
European
yes,
spots, and I
yes.
think we're going to have a relegation battle as well.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Well,
maybe,
off the basis of so far, anyway, definitely should.
yeah. Excuse me. Actually, it may well end up in a situation where Shells might be the only team with nothing to play for. But that's
Yeah,
maybe an
well,
early
look,
prediction.
well, you're very confident the Shells, Gary, and maybe I should be, but it's I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's just it's just the players that have gone out as well. It kind of scares me a little bit, and the players that have come in. Like, there's some decent players there, but I would have liked the Ryan Brennan or Georgie Poynton to stay on, experienced top division players, And even, I know Michael O'Connor was going to be leaving before it was announced, long before it, but that's a tough striker up front, and that's really what you need up there. He'll grab the odd goal, and I just, so far, and I don't want to be mean, I just don't see it. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Okay. Time will tell. Or maybe Friday night will tell a tale as well.
Yes, exactly. The best time to tell me is when I'm there.
Yeah. So when you've had another good look at them, you can maybe see what you think on Friday night.
Yes,
so
definitely.
Moving on to the first division, and if you don't mind, I'll cover the game I was at first.
Of course, no problem.
An absolutely full blood and thunder cracking Munster derby. Didn't have any goals. Cove Ramblers 0, Treaty United 0. It was, I think, a fair result. I think there wasn't a huge amount of chances in the game. Cove could have won it with 15 minutes to go. An absolutely world-class save by Jack Brady. He had to go full length and then had to get up and make a second save. But equally, having said that, Callum McNamara had a fantastic chance to win it for Treaty with 2 minutes to go, and somehow a Cove defender managed to block it on the line. He looked certain to score. So I think it was probably a fair result. Cove, the home side, will probably be the happier with the point, given that they had started off with a home defeat by Wexford, and I think they really felt, Darren Murphy said it after the game, they felt they had to get something, but they certainly upped their performance. And I suppose a point away from home for Treaty is not a bad result, having started with another away win in Wexford. Unfortunately, the home game against Longford was called off. But having said that, I think if you're going to challenge, I don't think Treaty can necessarily challenge for the title, but certainly going to need to challenge for the playoffs. They'll probably feel, or to do well in the up near the top of the division, you probably need to go to St. Coleman's Park and win. But it's a very, very tough place to go, and you never get it easy down there. I did start with Cove and Treaty, but in fairness, the big match in the division on Friday night was an aim in DC Park, and it finished Galway 2, Waterford 2, and I believe it was an absolutely cracking game. Waterford took a 2-0 lead in the first half, and Galway pegged them back, which even at this stage feels pretty crucial, because talking about the three teams, the big budgets, the full-time squads, and the games between Galway, Waterford and Cork City are going to be absolutely crucial. And Waterford had made a great start. They'd scored 5 in Athlone, then they'd beaten Bray at home. So they had full points. There were 2 up in Galway, and you kind of got the feeling and I was actually saying it at half time in Cove. I said, if Waterford win that, there could have been a bit of a gap, and you could even have a situation. We're talking about the Premier Division, that no one's running away with it. You could have had a situation where Waterford could have just gone off on a run, like Shells did last season, and leave everybody else behind. But Galway did come back, a crucial home point. They may not have been happy with the point before the game, but I'm certain they would have been very happy with it afterwards. And so they do have a game in hand, but they are 3 points. But I mean, Galway will be happy with their start, because as I said, they didn't play on the opening weekend either. And they went down to Cork and had an absolutely crucial win down there, and then to follow it up with a point at home to Waterford. So they'll be happy enough. The surprise packet in the first division, Wexford. I mentioned the win against Cove last week. Well, they beat Athlone, and I was reading on Twitter, it's their best ever start to a season. I'm sure the stat's correct. from their Ronan. 2 wins out of 3, and they sit in second place in the division on 6 points, one behind Waterford. And Dan McDonnell actually tipped them for the playoffs, and I think a couple of us might have been surprised, and particularly I was a bit surprised because Treaty had such a great win down there on opening night. But it's looking like a smarter prediction now, and two good wins for Wexford, and a good start for them. And finally, on Saturday night, there were no goals in Longford. 0-0 draw with Cork City. Again, for me, you see, this maybe I'm being a bit harsh, and I don't know. I've been speaking to a couple of people about this. Am I being a bit harsh in writing Longford off? They've also come down from the Premier Division, and I've been talking up Waterford, who came down in the playoffs. But Longford have come down from the Premier Division, and it's not just me, but I think a lot of people don't really expect them to go straight back up. Yeah, maybe they might get a playoff place, but for all sorts of reasons, they didn't get to play until Saturday night, so that was their first game. Scoreless draw at home to Cork. I didn't actually see any of it. I was reading that Cork seemed to have slightly the better of it, although that was Cork City sources, so they might be a bit biased. But for me, I think Longford will probably be the happier team with the point. Cork, they'd had such a fantastic start up in Bray, and it's kind of gone a bit wrong for them since they haven't scored since they scored the 6 goals up in Bray, and they can't. Well, if it is going to be a situation with Waterford, Galway, and Cork, and again, I could be totally wrong in this, but Cork will probably be the most disappointed of those 3 with the start so far. And they have the big Munster Derby with Cove coming up now as well. So any thoughts on the First Division, Paul?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You look at Waterford, they'll be very disappointed with that. And I know Ian Morris will as well, for sure, after keeping a clean sheet the week before. You think once you go 2-0 up against the John Caulfield side, and I'm not criticising his management, he's a very good manager, but a lot of the time his teams don't score 2 goals. So, especially when they're 2-0 down. So, look, I know they were at home. Great result for Galway coming back, but Waterford won't be happy with that. I think they have Wexford up next in the South Coast Derby in the RSC on Friday. So that'll be a decent atmosphere as well. It's first against second already. So, look, there'll be a bit of ring to it. And, look, I do still think they'll be the strongest side there, and I do think they'll come up automatically. But fair play to Galway as well. John Caulfield's sides never go away. I didn't expect them to get 2 goals back when they did see them 2-0 down, but they did. They proved me wrong, and fair play to them. You mentioned your game as well. How do you feel about Treaty's start to the season? Obviously, you've got 4 points out of 6. Your second game was called off, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping we'd win on Friday night, but I mean, I'm happy with the start because I suppose last season there was no expectations, and we got to the playoffs, and I think it was an excellent season. I think anything else would have been a real bonus. There's probably a little bit more pressure on in that, even though we still have a low budget and a fraction of the budget of the Waterfords, the Galways, and the Corks, there's still kind of an expectation that we'll at least make the playoffs again, and that's not going to be easy. It was a great start in Wexford. I think the scoreline definitely flattered Treaty. It could have gone differently. And at 2-1 early in the second half, Wexford had a great chance. Their number 2, the right foot, I can't remember who it was, really should have made it 2-2. And I think the game could have swung on that had they come from 2 down to go back to 2-2. We went up the other end and scored twice in a couple of minutes, and that was game over. So it's not a huge shock that Wexford actually come back. Now, I would be astonished if Wexford got anything in the RSC on Friday night. It is first against second, but for me, there's a big gulf, and prove me wrong, Wexford, badly to be proved wrong. So I think if Treaty make the playoffs again, it would be a good season. I don't think the budget is there that we're equipped to go up yet. I'm sure Tommy won't agree with me on that he'll be obviously trying to do his best. And so it's been 2 decent performances. I mean, it was a very good game for a scoreless draw on Friday night. I mean, there wasn't a lot. I suppose you say it's 0-0. There wasn't a lot of chances, and I know you're involved in the game as well, and you've skin in the game. It does mean more. But I think it was an entertaining game for the fans, and certainly it could have gone either way. Had Callum McNamara's chance gone in with 2 minutes to go, I mean, you would have been kind of sitting there saying, yeah, this is fantastic, a fantastic start. Really disappointed the Longford game had been called off last week. And, the Athlone game was called off last week. We've got Longford this Friday night. And I suppose that'll tell a lot. But then after Longford, we've got Galway away on the Monday, which is always going to be difficult for an amateur team to be playing Friday and Monday, and then Cork and Waterford go to the Markets Field for the next 2 Friday nights. So I think once we've played Galway, Cork and Waterford, we'll probably have a better idea where Treaty sit.
Yeah, and probably where everyone sit as well, to be honest, because a big influx of games coming up as well. As you mentioned, Monday night next week, there is both divisions on. So, I'll just go on with the rest of the results you were talking about as well. Wexford beating Athlone. Listen, Wexford were tipped by Dan McDonnell. I think they'll do better this year. I still think they might just miss out in the playoffs because there are a few teams better than them there. And, Cork will probably be disappointed with that 0-0 draw. I feel sorry for Longford, actually, because they've basically had an extra 2 to 3 weeks of pre-season, and from knowing Gary Cronin, that's probably a lot of running for those players as well, which, look, you do need, but you want to be playing ball. So, look, hard on them. A 0-0 probably is right, considering it's their first game and everyone else is 2 games ahead of them, or 1 or 2 games ahead of them already. So, look, the first division, I think I already fancy Waterford. I think they're going to win it. And you said they're going to be too strong on Friday against Wexford. They probably will be. They've got some very good players. Basically the same squad that went down as well, with a couple of new additions. Ian Morris is a good manager. He's been promoted twice in the last 3 years from that division. So he knows how to get it done. And look, it should be interesting. I cover a lot of first division games. I'm going to be at Bray here and there as well. So, the interest is still there. It's a good division. And if you ever have a chance, get down to your local side, lads, because especially if you live in the likes of Athlone, Longford, the Midlands. 2 good clubs there, 2 well-run clubs. And look, it's football. That's it. Why wouldn't you want to go?
Yeah, Bray and Galway on Friday night would be interesting as well, because a disastrous start for Bray is all you can call it, with the Cork game. They did well down in Waterford. I know they lost. It was only 1-0, so you kind of feel, and it is a very tough start for them to play Cork, Waterford and Galway, who are probably expected to be the 3 strongest teams. But Bray are one of the teams I would have expected to be there or thereabouts in the playoff places. I wouldn't have agreed with Dan and tipped Wexford, to be honest. They might be better than last season, probably won't finish bottom. But anyway, so it will be interesting to see how Friday night goes with Bray and Galway.
Yeah, and 2-0 all draws last year. I think there was actually more, but both the games at the Carlisle, including the playoff, they were about 0-0. So probably be similar enough as well. Bray were good defensively last year. I've only seen them once this year, and they conceded 6. So I don't really know what to make of that. But it'll be tight. It'll be tight, and Bray need points, as you said. They need points.
And I'll also just give a mention, because the Women's National League started this weekend, and Champions Shelbourne had a very good win over Bowes, tough Dublin Derby, and I think it was Pearl Slattery that got the winner. And Peamount, it's great to see Sligo Rovers join the league. A very tough game for them to start away to Peamount United, who came so close, probably blew the league last season. They shipped a heavy defeat. I think it was 6 for Peamount. But Sligo will, they'll probably learn from that, and they won't have to play Peamount, the likes of Peamount, every week. I think they've got DLR Waves at home this weekend, so first home game will be. And I know that there's a big push going on. Sligo's a fantastic football town, but there's a big push going on to get crowds as well at the women's games. Fantastic win for Wexford. Many people are tipping them for the title this season. And Athlone they're a new enough team to the league, but they're certainly improving, and they led Wexford 1-0, and 2 late goals. It was a free kick from Ellen Malloy that got Wexford back into it, and they snatched the winner, and a crucial win for Wexford because again, talking about if you're going to win a league, you have to. It's not easy to go to Athlone, but and Athlone have made some good signings. I saw they signed a couple of Americans as well. And the game I was at, actually, unfortunately for me, DLR Waves hammered Treaty United 5-0. It was even enough in the first half in the UCD Bowl, and the Waves took the lead just before half time. But unfortunately, in the second half, it was a bit one-way traffic, and it is a very, very young Treaty side that Don O'Riordan has. I mean, we had a 15-year-old Amy Madden. She actually played quite well. She was certainly not out of place, and a lot of other teenagers on the pitch. But it's going to be a tough season for Treaty.
But, definitely. But
it's great to have the Women's National League back.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned DLR Waves as well. They had a very good season last year. Obviously, they have lost a couple of players in the mid-season, in between seasons break. But look, I mean, they'll be thinking, look, can we kick on from last year? I mean, you think about results that shaped that division last year. Do you remember their 0-0 draw against Peamount, which was on the telly, TG Carr? Eve Bandana, but I think it's Eve Bandana had a fantastic.
Yeah. She's a superb keeper.
Yeah, very, very good. Has been called up to the Ireland camps a couple of times as well. Listen, they're going to be thinking we can maybe not challenge, but definitely be in around third and fourth again. You know, because they're a strong side. A couple of very, very nice players there. Wexford, they won the cup and they beat Shells. You know, they beat them well in the cup final as well. So they'll be thinking as well, can we kick on to the next level and challenge Peamount and Shells at the top? Because it's probably going to be between the two of them again. But yeah, great to see Sligo as well, as we spoke about, a great football town, mad about their football. So hopefully they can get the crowds in, and the women's team can do very well as well.
Yeah, it's great to see, and not just what Paul said about the first division. If you can get to Women's National League game, it's certainly very entertaining, and it's still football, and there's great commitment and great. Well, it's great we can all go to games. It's probably a good thing, but a bad thing in another way. It's very difficult. It's starting to get difficult to go to Premier Division games in this country, because unless you've got a season ticket, which is great for the clubs, because we've got so many sellouts. We've got the sellout in Tala already, I believe, for Friday night. Again, I think, I'm not sure what the situation is there with away support. I don't think anyone knows, because I was following some the Bohemians tweets that they'll hope to have an update tomorrow on that. But it certainly seems to be sold out for home supporters anyway. And I'm sure it'll sell out in the away end as well, absolutely, without doubt. And it's going to be 8,000 people there. It's going to be a fantastic crowd. And so that's about it. We've got some comments. Any predictions for I presume Tom O'Sullivan is looking for a Shells Bows prediction. I presume it's Rovers Bows prediction.
I think Shells are playing Bows next Monday.
Oh, on Monday. Okay, all right.
I've seen it on Twitter. A couple of people are mixing it up with. I think they're mixing up Monday and Friday, but I think that one's in Dalymount as well. Listen, there'll be no love lost between those two as well. Obviously, with the whole situation with the two grounds, but look, I couldn't call that one. You'd probably have to favour Bows slightly just because. But look, there's a game before it as well, so you don't know what's going to happen in between them. But look, fantastic league, and look, great to have another double game week coming up as well. Loads more work for us.
Yeah, there's a lot of matches on, and I mean it is tougher for the part-time and the amateur sides to play Friday and Monday, and of course it's very hard to predict for Monday night when you could have injuries and suspensions coming out of the Friday game as well. So, if you ask me to call it now, I'd nearly say a narrow Bows win, maybe 2-1, but. You never know, and Shells will be tough to beat. And Damien Duff is going to do. Look, he's in this league, and he's going to make a job. I think he's a really excellent coach, and I think he'll make a job of Shells.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, he has to. That's it. He
Okay.
has to. Simple as, like, because the fans,
Well,
there'll be no
I
love
think
lost. Yeah. The fans won't take it if they, like. I mean, listen, 4 points from the first 4 games isn't bad, but I mean, if it's 4 points from the first 10 games, the fans won't be too pleased, you know. So look, listen, he
no.
has to. He knows it. He's talking well as well. They just need to start putting the ball back in the net as well as defending well too, like you said. So that's
Yeah.
it.
And there's no, as you say, there's no love lost with the North Side Derby. So
Yes.
anyway, I'm certainly looking forward to this weekend, and should be some cracking matches. I've got my own issues. I'm hoping to get to Limerick on Friday night for the Treaty United in Longford. I will be in Galway on Monday for the Galway and Treaty game. But so anyway, let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks to Paul Tierney for joining me tonight.
Thanks very much, Gary, and thanks, guys. Chat again soon.
Cheers.